Welcome to G5 Friday. Today's squad, the Aztecs of San Diego State. Christian Rauh of Locked On Kansas State is here to discuss because why the heck not? Because Christian's a cool guy. He knows college football, and we're talking San Diego State today. So, interesting team in the Mountain West because this is a program that we have seen reach some very high highs. Double-digit win seasons, conference championship seasons. It wasn't all that long ago. And over the last couple of years, it's been going downhill. Now, I want to like San Diego State more going into 2025 than I do. I don't hate them. I think 4.5 is too low of a win total. The reason I don't think it's higher, the reason I'm not going to pick them to get more than the 6 wins that I have logged into my official prediction document, Christian, as far as Mountain West schedules go, this one is not exactly favorable. Now, the Aztecs have been aggressive in the transfer portal, which can have its ups, Curt Cignetti at Indiana, and downs, Mike Norvell at Florida State. My faith that the Aztecs double their win total from last year, which in and of itself would be a successful season since they went 3-9 last year, my belief is mostly in Sean Lewis. They just named Jaden Denegar, their starting quarterback, who has attempted 5 passes in his career. That's the same 5 that fits on one hand. So my faith is in Sean Lewis. He went from 2 wins to 7 wins during his time at Kent State as the head coach. I've always liked him. I always thought it was a solid hire. There's some faith there. But Christian, your reaction to the Aztecs going into this year in what is once again a really darn solid Mountain West?
Yeah, I think that is the understatement right there. And because the schedule they have too is not an easy one in this Mountain West Conference. I think 5's the magic number for a lot of things for San Diego State this year. You just mentioned Jaden Denegal, their new starting quarterback, only about 5 passing attempts in his college career. Their running back, Lucky Patton, only had 5 carries last year. He's going to be the new stud, somebody that they have to replace 200 and something carries from their running back workhorse from last season. And the reason I say 5, I think, is the lucky number is because that's where I think they're going to sit. I think they are going to improve, Spencer. They're going to be better than what 3-9 was last year. And I do believe in Sean Lewis to continue that path forward. But I think they're going to be just shy of the bowl game. And it's not because of what Sean Lewis isn't doing. I think that his new Aztec fast offense that he's trying to establish and install here is going to work eventually. But I think he has to still continue to build it up. We saw what happened last year with Danny O'Neal. I mean, what a tough kid Danny O'Neal was last year, being put into the fire, wound up now being the backup for Wisconsin. But I think there's just a lot of question marks that I still have about San Diego State to make me not want to say they're a bowl team yet. But I do think 5-7 is a very solid and real, dare I say, respectable season for them next year.
Yeah, I think they're a ways out, particularly in the trenches, from being where they have to get in order to really be a Mountain West contender and therefore a college football playoff contender as well. I do believe this program, starting in the Pac-12 next year, fully capable of getting to the point where they win that league. You think about the recruiting base they have access to. Their brand is pretty solid. Clearly, they can go out and get a solid number of transfers, but I'm with you that I don't think they have, an Arizona State year 2 sort of jump like they had in the Big 12, where they went 3-9 first year in the Big 12. Boom, they go win the conference 11-2 and in the college football playoff. The schedule, for those who don't have it memorized, which I suspect is most of you out there, this is a win total of 4.5, which I think it's instinctually I said, oh, that's too low. Then I looked at the schedule and went, oh, okay, now I see it.
It's a pretty good number.
Yeah. They open with Stony Brook at home, and that's not going to be a problem. At least it shouldn't be. Then they go at Washington State. That's not an easy place to play. I can't pick them to win that game. Mm-hmm. Then they play Cal at home. I think we will know if you and I are wrong on San Diego State at that point, Christian, because if they find a way to win either of those games, I know Washington State has a new coach, a lot of new players coming over from South Dakota State. If they're able to win in Pullman or beat a Cal team that also has a lot of transfer portal chaos from the offseason, but is still an ACC school, could still be a bowl game in that league, if they win either of those games, San Diego State will turn heads.
Which one do you like more than the other? If you
I have to go with Cal because they're at home. but like I'm talking 51-49 because I think roster wise, even with all the underchange or all the change that's been undertaken at Washington State, I still think Cal's roster is going to be closer to a respectable Power 4 team just by lieu of the fact that they, have got access to ACC resources. They've brought in a bunch of transfers as well that are of average higher caliber than what Washington State's brought in. So I'll lean Cal because it's at home and Pullman is a really hard place to play. But if I had a scheduling choice to give San Diego State, I would love to flip those games.
Yeah, I think that's a swing game, at least in the non-conference, right? When you talk about some of the games, I think Washington State's a tough one for them, but I do think that they could potentially set the tone against Cal. That would be the one to really, as you mentioned, it could be like the breakout game for Sean Lewis and really show what he has. It'll be 2 games with Denegal as their quarterback. Hopefully there's no injury concerns. And then we'll see what he can do with guys like Lucky in the backfield, with Jordan Napier, who's supposed to be this amazing wide receiver 1 in his next season coming in, already getting some preseason awards, being on some watch lists, as well as being one of the most versatile players in the G5. And we'll see what that offensive line does, right? You mentioned the offensive line. You're not sure if you think they're enough in the trenches. Well, you got to remember last year, in the first quarter, they lost their left tackle for the entire year. So they're trying to see what's going to happen and see if they can solidify that offensive line, one that they struggle with injuries, one that they struggle with penalties because of this fast offensive movement that Sean Lewis has. So if they can find a way to solidify that, lots of moving parts, lots of questions, I'm well aware of it. You might find them shocking the system once or twice this season.
Yeah, the Group 5 games then play out the rest of their schedule after Washington State and Cal, former Pac-12 members for a future Pac-12 member. How about that? At Northern Illinois and hosting Colorado State is by no measure an easy stretch of football, lest we forget that Northern Illinois beat the national runners-up last year on their home field. And Colorado State has been a rock-solid program for the last couple of years. Then they go at Nevada, sneaky tough game because Jeff Choate's a pretty solid coach, it seems. At Fresno State, that's not a very tough game. And then Wyoming, at Hawaii, and Boise State, San Jose State, at New Mexico. So the back half there, Christian, they're not a lot of gimme games. San Jose State, solid. Hawaii on the road could be tough. Long trip, of course. Things get weird. I don't think Hawaii's great. I don't think they're terrible. At least you have Boise State at home. At New Mexico, first-year head coach. All right, I'll give San Diego State the advantage there. But I just look at the back half of the schedule and go, boy, you just didn't catch a lot of the teams that I expect to be towards the bottom of the Mountain West.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. I think you have to find ways to get wins against Wyoming and Hawaii in the middle of your schedule there, just to even think about bowl eligibility. Hopefully you can find a way to split your non-conference, as we mentioned, maybe even go 3-1. That would be insanely good. And then I think the last game of the season at New Mexico has the feelings of a potential revenge game. Maybe that can help you out there, but I'm not very hopeful as well when it comes to San Diego State getting to that bowl eligibility, because the schedule is really tough. They did not really miss anything. You didn't get Air Force. You wound up getting Wyoming, great, but other than that, not too much that can help you there. I'm going to sit at 5-7 though. I do think you're going to see some improvement from Sean Lewis's offense. I do think that you're going to get some nice improvement on the defensive side. They do have a brand new defensive coordinator coming in. He was with the linebackers last year. Him getting promoted to defensive coordinator was why they had a lot of great retention. Trey Lewis, who had 12.5 sacks last year, no one really talks about them because everybody thinks of the G5 defensive end like Mike Green from Marshall, but it's Trey Lewis that's going to be that guy this year. And then I think their secondary is very underrated. So give me 5-7 with a potential for a bowl win, to get to the bowls, I should say.
You hear that, San Diego State fans? I like you more than Christian Rauh. Yeah, just document that one. Just stash it away in your head. A whole game, but that would give them an extra game in the season, of course. But progress, I think, is what they're striving for here. And like a number of future Pac-12 schools, you want to have momentum going into that year. There's going to be so much new excitement and energy surrounding all of these programs. I think I talked about this with Oregon State. It applies to any school that's going into the Pac-12. Going into the transfer portal cycle next year, you want to sell. Look at the upward trajectory our program has got, and we're about to make a jump into the Pac-12.
And I'll add this, Spencer, as well. One thing that they have going for them that not many schools in the country has is how good they do recruiting locally. How many San Diego County kids they have in the area, Southern Cal kids they have in the program. You don't get that anymore with this new transfer portal NIL world. I think that's going to do great for them when they become part of the new Pac.
There are worse places to be for a recruiting footprint or for a vacation. San Diego, great city. I went there with my family earlier this year in February, and that was a long time ago. That was way away from football season, and now football season is near. Christian Rauh, great stuff as always, my man. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.